Okay, so now you have to, well, it actually, let me see something.
Do the How to Nominate and Win a CODiE Award webcast. I'm going to go ahead and start recording.
It is recording.
Okay, great. So we can access this later. So I'm your host, Jenny Baranowski, and during this webcast, we'll be covering what is a CODiE Award, for those of you that have not participated in the process before, what's new and what to expect throughout the CODiE Award cycle, the nomination process, timeline, and important dates, tips to a successful CODiE Award demo and CODiE Award experience, and how to leverage your finalist or winner status. And then at the very end, we'll have some time for Q&A. So how to get the most out of this webcast. First, you'll notice that all of the lines are muted. That's just to cut down on background noise and all of that good stuff. So if you have any questions, please put your questions in the Q&A box, or if you want to, you can use the chat box. There's two options here, and we'll save them till the end unless it makes sense to address them right then and there. And then, as you know, we're recording this. So if you need to share the recording with your colleagues or anyone that's working on the demo with you, please feel free to do so. I'll share the recording shortly after this concludes. And then it seems that we always remember our really good questions after the webcasts finish up. So if that happens to you, feel free to send me an email or give me a call. I'm generally around. Thanks, quarantine. So feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions that way. And then let's go ahead and get started. So next slide. So what is a CODiE Award? 2021 marks the 36th anniversary of the CODiE Awards. So they have a long-standing tradition of celebrating and honoring excellence in both business and education technology. So what makes the CODiE Awards especially unique is that nominated products receive 2 rounds of review. The first is what we call the expert review, and the second is a peer review done by the SIA community. We'll dive deeper into each of those rounds in a bit, but just for a quick overview, during the first round, each product entry will be assigned 2 industry experts to conduct an in-depth evaluation of the product. So if you decide to nominate in multiple categories, you'll receive 2 judges per category entered. So think that if you nominate for 10 categories, you'll have 20 product demos. And each of your reviewers are educators and administrators if you're nominating on the EdTech CODiE side, and consultants, investors, press, product, or industry executives if you're nominating on the BizTech side. And we already have some great questions coming in, so we'll answer all of these at the end of the program. So the reviewers score the products against a set of category-specific judging criteria, and the products that have the highest scores advance as finalists. We do this just to ensure that all products, regardless of the size, can compete fairly in the same category without bias. We also share the judging criteria on our website, so you know what the judges will be looking for and can tailor your demo to highlight those areas. The judges provide written feedback on each of the products they review, which you'll receive access to as soon as the judging period closes and the finalists are announced on May 3rd. So because this is such a thorough review, the first round accounts for 80% of your overall score and is what determines who the finalists are. This is also the part of the awards that you'll spend the most time on, so it makes sense. The finalists then receive a second round review by the SIA community, and this is conducted over a 2-week period. The scores from both the first round and the second round of review are combined to crown the winners in each category. And then this year, you guys may be wondering if how we're going to announce the winners. This year, the winners will be announced June 22nd for the BizTech categories and June 23rd for the EdTech categories. And we're planning for both ceremonies to be held virtually, assuming that we'll still be locked down again by then, unless it's absolutely safe to do so, in which case we'd offer a hybrid model. So details for both of the ceremonies will be available on our website in the Celebrate tab that you can access straight from our homepage. So give that a peek, and then I'll also make sure to send everyone an email with updates so you're well aware. So now, why nominate? Why do people nominate? Lots of reasons that companies nominate for a CODiE Award, but the biggest ones are outlined here. The very biggest one is that expert feedback and feedback from potential customers. So as I mentioned previously, every nominee will have their product reviewed in depth by 2 expert reviewers, and this is often the most valuable component of the awards for the nominees. Not only does it help companies identify where they're excelling or where they could improve their product, but we've actually gotten feedback that in the past from some of the judges, they've been so impressed with the products they've reviewed that they've tried to get the products into their schools or into their workplaces. So it's potential for some new customers. Another key benefit to nominating is the increased press, customer, and prospect visibility and product recognition. So obviously this year, people have not been able to do their biz dev, going to business meetings and things like that. So having that awards presence is a great way to reach out to your customers, gives you a good excuse to reach out to them, let them know that you're up for an award. And it's such a thorough process that you'll get exposure to new companies and people, both in the first round, second round review, and of course, we'll be helping you promote your product through communications on the awards. Which leads us to new marketing opportunities. You're sharing your participation as a CODiE nominee. And so you can include that in your marketing messages, in customer meetings, on social media, all of that good stuff. So lots of great ways to just tell people what you're doing and tell them about new things you have going on with your product. Benchmarking is another one that's not on this slide. But the application process itself is a great way to it forces you to take a peek at your product and how you're describing yourself and how you're sharing what you do with the community. So it gives you a chance to take a critical eye to how you talk about your product, and it can be a really valuable experience for your team. Another great one is team recognition and motivation. So now more than ever, it's great to get some recognition for a job well done, right? So awards help you recognize that hard work and achievement of the employees. You can use your win or finalist status to boost morale, motivate staff, and just be committed to innovation and excellence. And when employees are proud of their company's achievement, they have a good excuse to tell, prospects and customers why their product is the best in the business. So it's a great way to help you sell your product and makes their job a little bit easier to take home a win. It's a great way to attract new employees. Top prospective employees are drawn to award-winning businesses. That just helps them determine who will prosper and grow in the future. So awards are another great way to do that. And then some companies nominate their products for additional funding. So VCs in the banking community sometimes look to awards and finalists to find companies that are poised for growth. So that's another great reason to nominate. And then finally, bragging rights. Bragging rights is the best. So if you can say that you're at the top of your league, what's not to love about that? So anyway, those are some of the key reasons to nominate and to get your nomination in. So what's new in 2021? And going back, I'll be answering the questions at the end for anyone that's putting the questions in the Q&A box. So what's new in 2021? So if you've been through the process in the past, you'll know that we take a lot of pride in keeping the CODiE Award categories current. So each year we ask the CODiE Awards participants, judges, board members to help us review existing CODiE Award categories, add new categories, and see where the market's headed. So we do this just to ensure the program evolves as rapidly as the technologies do, especially with it being a 36-year-old program. A lot has happened in the digital world in 36 years. So this year we have some super cool categories I'd like to just touch on briefly. All the details of these are located on our website, so you can dig into them deeper there. But we have created 5 categories in response to COVID-19. So these are highlighting, they differ from the product CODiEs in that they're honoring companies, teams, partnerships, and people. And they're really recognizing people that have gone above and beyond in the COVID era. So definitely take a peek at those. The judging for these will be a bit different too, which I'll touch on in a few, but essentially you'll be preparing a write-up on the entire COVID experience to be judged by select judges and then a panel of judges. So good stuff there. And then this year we have 6 new biz tech products or biz tech categories listed here, and then 7 new ed tech categories. So you can go to our website for the complete category list and see all of the product descriptions there under the categories tab. So give those a look. And then note that all of the CODiE Award nominations are automatically entered into the best overall education solution for EdTech categories and best overall biz tech solution for the biz tech categories. So no need to enter your product into that category specifically. It's in each of those, the CODiE is awarded to the product with the highest scores from both rounds of judging. So you're automatically entered, think of it as a freebie. And it's a top honor. And then we will also be offering a Lifetime Achievement Award. So if you have someone in mind that you'd like to put forward for that award, both for the biz tech side and the ed tech side, please shoot me an email. We don't have a formal nomination process for that, but I will put communications out there via email to all of you. So keep some people in mind that would be a great fit for those. So now let's dive a little bit deeper into the nomination process. Let me get to the next slide. So the application process, we keep it really simple by design. So the form is currently open through January 29th, and it really should only take a few minutes to complete. All the nominations can be entered by a product developer, PR companies, advertising companies, investors, you name it, anyone can nominate. I do recommend mapping out your application in Word to spell check and have a backup copy in case you run into any problems with entering the information. You never know, computer gremlins always happen. So anyway, getting back to the nomination. So first you'll want to go to the nomination URL, which is listed here. If you don't already have a login, you can create one as soon as you're completing your nomination form. If you run into any trouble, reach out to myself, or Dan is also on the call. He's another one that can help you out. And once you're in, you'll just be asked for some basic information. We'll want your product name, URL, brief product description. I recommend using marketing copy here because this is what will be posted once you become a finalist or a winner. So that's really the quick elevator pitch on what your product is. You'll need contact information. I like people to submit 2 different contacts with their award nomination. This is in the event if we can't reach the primary contact, we can reach the secondary contact. If you're if you're a PR agency that's representing a company, then make sure to have one of the contacts be a person from the nominated product team. That just, gives us 2 different people that we can reach out to if we need to. You'll then select your categories and add in a brief line on why you fit into the category. So there's no need to get fancy there. It's really just to make sure to help us recognize that you are nominated in the right place. And then finally, you go to the payment screen. You'll have 3 different options for payment. You can submit, you can complete your payment by credit card, you can request an invoice, or you can do a wire transfer. And then you're done. Super simple. We do offer you the option to submit additional materials to help strengthen your application. Really, those are just, they can be case studies, they can be press releases, anything that you'd like the judges to take a peek at to give them some more information on your product and how it's making an impact. Most of the judges will rely heavily on your demo to get a real feel for your product, but that's another great place to put in additional resources that they might want to check out if they need some more information. I also recommend recording your live demo so you have a backup of that just in case the judges want to take a peek at any of the information that was covered. Maybe they have a lapse in their notes or something like that. It's always nice to have that recorded demo. You don't need to record a demo before you go into the judging phase, but again, it is nice to have one, especially if, say, you're able to schedule a demo with one of your judges, but you're having trouble scheduling live with a second one. You have a recorded demo that you can share with them. And again, to revisit information. So I do recommend including a link to a demo in your application, but that can be added after the judging phase has started. No need to spend more time creating a recorded demo. And if you're nominating in one of the COVID categories, what you'll do is you'll enter overview information on your company instead of the product. So then beginning in February, you'll be asked to complete a short 2 to 5 minute video or a write-up on how your company, individual, or team went above and beyond in the category that they selected. So just be sure to touch on, it's critical that you touch on each of the judging criteria for the category to really, show how you excelled in each of those bullets. And if you have any unique stories or data or testimonials that you can include in that write-up, that really will help you tell your story and let it shine to the judges. So if you have any questions about those categories, especially with them being new, please reach out. I'm happy to help. I'll also have some town halls if people want to just reach out or ask questions about the process. I'll host those throughout the nomination period or throughout the judging process. And you'll also be given your access to your 2 judges for the COVID categories. Like I said, you don't need to do a live demo, but if you want to reach out to them to just, have that back and forth dialogue, you're more than welcome to. And you'll receive written feedback as well on those. So next, let's see, next slide is the pricing. We get a lot of questions on CODiE Award pricing. So here's a slide outlining the costs. We have both member and non-member rates. And there are 3 tiers of pricing. So what you'll see here is our regular rate. Currently, until Friday, we're actually in early bird. So if you get your nomination in by Friday at midnight Eastern, you'll receive a $100 discount on these prices that are displayed here. And really know too, if you are trying to rush your entry in to get that early price, you can always go back and edit your entry at any point leading up to the judging process. We just ask that it's as final as possible by the time we submit your nomination to the judges, which will happen on February 15th. So the pricing that's displayed on the screen is the regular pricing. It goes from December 19th through January 15th. And then we also offer a late nomination period that's available January 16th through January 29th. And during that time, each of these prices will increase by $200. So I highly recommend getting your nomination in as early as possible, just to save yourself some money and to get the nomination off your desk before you leave for the holidays, or stay home for the holidays, or whatever you're doing. So, oops, what did I do here? And then let's see, I messed myself up here. And then just note that all nominations have to be in by January 29th so that I can assign the judges to your products. So just make sure everything's, done and ready to go by then. And then let me go back. So for the member pricing, you'll notice that the member pricing is about 50% less than the non-member pricing. If you are not currently a member of SIA and want to become one, just shoot me an email and I'll get you set up with the Join and Save program. Whereas if you become an SIA member and you have not been a member before, or you haven't been for the last 3 years, then you get your first CODiE Award nomination for free and you receive member pricing. So it's an option. You don't have to be a member to participate in the CODiE Awards, but it's an option that's available to you. So continuing on, the dates and deadlines, we've been over a number of them already. There's really 4 main milestones to the awards process. There's the nomination period, which we're in now, through January 29th. There is the first round of review. As I mentioned, we have 2 rounds of review. The first is the expert review phase, and that goes from February 15th through April 19th. Then we have the peer review phase that happens May 3rd through the 21st. And then we'll celebrate the winners June 22nd and June 23rd. So now a deep dive into that first round of review. So after the nominations close on January 9th, that's when we'll start the expert review phase of the CODiE Awards. So as I mentioned, this phase runs from February 15th through April 19th. I will be pairing you with 2 judges per product you nominate. So again, if you have 20 nominations, you will have 40 judges. So just keep that in mind. For only a 2-month period, it can be a heavy lift if you're nominating in several categories. So properly plan with your team for that. When you look at your judge assignments, well, let me not get ahead of myself. I'll send you a link to the judge assignments the week of February 15th. So just keep an eye out for an email from me and bookmark that link because you'll be using it quite a bit. In the link, you'll find your judge contact information, and you'll just want to review the judge information and all the information you entered into your nomination just to make sure it's as you want it. And if you notice that, anything funky with the judges, say you know one, or there's a conflict of interest that we didn't catch, please let me know, or, say that the judge doesn't seem like quite the right fit, reach out. Like, do not suffer in silence, reach out to me and I will get it fixed for you. And then if everything looks great, start reaching out to your judges right away. It's a good opportunity to introduce yourself, get your demos on the calendar, and that way you can get rolling with your with your first round review. 2 months seems like a long time, but as we know, things go really quickly, and finding a time that works with your judges can be really tricky, especially right now with people's schedules being really tight in this virtual world. So another thing to note is that if you're nominating in the ed tech categories, um, keep in mind that educators may be teaching or in office hours during the day. So be flexible if they need to do one in the evening. Try and accommodate it the best you can. Or again, if a recorded demo is better for you or for the judge, try and be as accommodating as possible to that, especially now. So nominate demos are due to judges by March 19th. So the judges can complete their scores by April 16th. If you don't have a demo scheduled by the 19th, you'll need to prepare and send over a recorded demo. Recorded demos can be really great. You just make sure that the judges know that you're available for questions and things like that, if you have any, or if they have any. Nominees are responsible for reaching out to their judges to schedule the demos. Occasionally judges will be really proactive and they'll reach out to you, but that's not the norm. So do reach out to your judges as soon as possible. And if you don't hear from them, let me know, so I can intervene. And it could be an email, being blocked or something like that. So just the biggest takeaway is do not wait, reach out as soon as possible, and reach out to me if you run into any trouble. So demos, as I mentioned, demos are typically done live using a web platform. It can be Zoom, it can be, Skype, it can be whatever you use. It does not matter. You could FaceTime them if you wanted. But as I mentioned, you may end up sending your judges a recorded demo, especially if there's a big time zone difference or you're having a really hard time nailing down a time that works for both teams. So just try and be as flexible as possible. Okay, and then next, so that's the first round review. All of the scores will have to be in by April 16th. And then we move into the second round of review. So scores from the first round determine the finalists, and the finalists will be announced on May 3rd. So during this time, the primary contact from SI member companies and partners are invited to vote. And it's a really quick review done by the SI community. And so because it's a quick review, it only accounts for 20% of your overall score. So do keep that in mind. You'll want to have a nice profile. And what I'm asking all nominees to do this year to help prepare for that demo is actually complete a write-up before the demo phase that covers what your product is, what you do, and then how you excel at each of the judging criteria. So that will help with this second round of review as well. And then the last phase is the celebration. So last year we were online for our winner announcement, and it was great because we got participation from all over the world. And as I mentioned, we'll be doing that again this year unless there is an opportunity for a hybrid model where we could have some in-person party and then also available virtually for the people that prefer to be virtual. So anyway, I will make sure to post plenty of details as we get closer to June, so you know what to expect there. So now to dive into some tips and tricks to a successful demo. Again, going back to that first round review because it's so important. So I've spoken to many judges over the years, and I have a few tips to share with all of you on how to have the best CODiE Award experience. And these are straight from judges. They um, that can really help you hone in on that demo. So before you actually dive into the demo, you'll want to customize the award demo. So make sure to touch on the judging criteria. This year, as I mentioned, I'll ask each of you to complete a brief write-up, or if you prefer to do a video, you can certainly do that, as an outline to help with crafting the demo. So you'll want to make sure to include what your product does, what problem it solves, how it meets each of the judging criteria, to really tell your story and let your product shine. You want to keep it tight. No one wants to sit on a 2-hour demo, nor, is that allowed? But you only have an hour with the judge, and the best demos generally are done in like 30, 45 minutes to leave plenty of time for questions and to allow the judges to go back and see the points that they really, really want to dive into that you excel at. If there's something you really love about your product, make sure to share that. Those personal connections really come through and resonate with the judges. Communicate. So communicate with your judges as soon as you receive your judge assignments to introduce yourself, schedule a time that works for a demo. And then just make sure that prior to your presentation, you call or email so you both really have a common understanding about what will happen during the demo. So try to be as responsive as possible with your judges. Live demos tend to go a little bit better than pre-recorded, just because there is that opportunity to ask questions. That being said, if you need to do a pre-recorded demo to send to your judges, that's fine too. Just do what works best for you and the judges, especially now. And again, try and include a recorded demo in your nomination portal after the judging kicks off, just so the judges can go back and take a peek at that recording. And then another one is make sure that the judges understand how the platform works that you'll be using for your demo, just so they can familiarize themselves with it. Most people are pretty savvy with the various platforms at this point, but every platform is a little bit different. So just make sure that they know what platform they'll be using for the demo, so they can check it out and make sure that they can access your demo when it's live. And then another good tip is to do your homework. So as I mentioned, you'll want to build your CODiE demonstration with a category description and judging criteria in mind. The judge evaluation criteria is listed with each category description on the CODiE Award website. It will also be in your nominee portal. So that way you know what the judges will be looking for. They tend to be really not impressed if someone just gives them a standard sales pitch and they don't touch on any of the judging criteria. So really make sure to include that in your demo. To that point, put your best foot forward. Treat your judges as some of your best prospective clients. They may end up being just that. And they're the ones that are really making up a huge portion of your score. So don't have a junior product manager or sales rep give a canned demo. Your competition might end up having their CEO delivering theirs. So just make sure that the presenter really knows the product backward and forward and can really tell that story and give it a lot of light. So you want someone who really loves the product to do the demo, so that shines through. And then a great tip from last year's judge, or one of last year's judges, is to provide an outline of your presentation in advance so they know what to expect. So just keep that in mind. Again, going back to the first point I made on this, it just really helps set the stage. And then know that some judges will want a full front to back tour of your product. Some will just want to go in and play around with the product. If you're available to give them access, or if you're able to give them access to your product, that's always welcome. But just again, be communicative with your judges to see how they most want to experience that. Um, and then let's see, if your product has a lot of different views like administrator, user, parent, etc., try and show them as many of those as you can in the time that it allows. Just and again, allow the judges to let you know what they most want to see and what they're most interested in. Um, Definitely check in. Don't assume that your judges know your company or your product. It's always nice to just give them a very brief overview on who your core audience is, what your product does, what issue you're solving. So there's a basic foundation. That also helps create your story, right? And then you'll want to be direct with what you're showing. So you won't have time in most cases to go through every single feature that your product does. So really highlight the ones that you most want to put forward, especially that pertain to the category you're in. And then lastly, make sure to thank your judges for their time. They are volunteering to do this. Most of them love to do it. That's why they volunteer to judge. But it's always nice to get a thank you, and it's a great opportunity for you to again reiterate, these are the areas that we covered in the demo. This is how we excel at each of the judging criteria. Thanks for the time. Here's a link to our recorded demo. And that's such a great follow-up. So definitely do that and show some appreciation for the efforts. And then let's see. So finally, how companies leverage a CODiE Award. That's the last little piece of the webcast before we'll dive into some questions. But my number one tip is to start mapping out a plan now to make sure that you have your PR plan in place by the time judging kicks off, so you're ready to leverage your CODiE Award participation. So in that plan, make sure to include things like your social media schedules, your email announcements, press releases, calls to customers, running ads in publications. You can share the news in company memos so your employees know what the company is doing and they're being recognized for an award. Make sure to list it on your website, email signatures, all that good stuff. These are just a few ideas to help, especially now, while so many people are virtual. And then once it's safe to do so, it's always great to promote statuses at trade shows and things like that. So we'll make sure to provide you with a packet that includes logos, press release templates, and things like that. But just know that there are several things that you can do to help promote your participation in the awards, hopefully finalist status, and hopefully winner status. We'll also be asking, finalists and winners to tag us. Like we'll be happy to, share posts and things like that. And also make sure to, put out videos and things like that, add some personality to your entry. So with that, I will start looking to questions. Looks like we have quite a few coming in. So let's see. This is a great question. So what is the production value of the video that needs to be included? So you can do a recorded video just, on your phone, do it through Zoom. It doesn't need to be a super high quality, produced video. If you can do that, great. If not, that's fine too. The awards don't go to the person with the biggest marketing budget. They go to the people that are telling the best story. So Great question there. And video is just is an option. You can also do a write-up on paper if that's better for you and your team. Here's one that came through. Oh, will the video be published externally? So that is a great question. For the short video that is the optional to help you prepare for the first round review, and for the COVID categories, we will share that in the second round of review should you become a finalist. So yes, there's no need to put any confidential information in those videos. For the demo with judges, there are no NDAs that are signed or anything like that. So if there's anything that you don't feel comfortable with sharing, do not share. It won't make or break your entry. So just keep that in mind throughout the process. We also don't ask you for any financial information or anything like that. So again, no need to share anything that's ultra confidential with your judges or with us. What's the difference between the video included in the nomination and the scheduled demo with the judges? So the demos with the judges are your deep dive into what your product does. Any information, the write-up or the brief video that you have the option of submitting with your nomination. Those are just a very quick overview. It's kind of the outline of the demo. So it's kind of when you're writing up a big paper, it's good to have that initial outline to go off of. Think of it like that. You have the outline and then your demo is the full presentation. I hope that helps. Feel free to put some more questions in there if you need further clarification. And then let's see, oops. I want to nominate my client in a new COVID-related category. Best remote learning partner, K-12 to higher ed. My client provides a service using technology, but which I believe makes this a best remote learning partner. Yep. So yes, I'll change the criteria. They should not be product related. I thought that was updated. It is. It can be company. It can be product. And again, just tell the story. If you're able to get quotes from the partner too, so you can do a joint story, that's great as well, because it really helps tell the whole story that you're trying to convey. So, if you need any additional information on that, just let me know and you can put in more questions in the chat or shoot me an email. Okay. After all the nominations are reviewed during the first round of judging, are all also reviewed during the second round of judging? No. So every single nomination that is entered into the CODiE Awards receives that first round review. Every single product gets 2 judges, and those, so you know that your product will at least get your 2 judges. Finalists from that first round of review are they're the only ones that receive a second round peer review. So, and they'll get the only things that they'll receive access to for that peer review is your product overview, and then that brief, either write up or video outline, which will help them see what your product does. So keep that in mind. Another great question, if we're submitting in 2 categories, do we enter one and then log in again for a second? So great question. So there's 2, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. So if you're nominating the same category or the same product in multiple categories, you can use the same form. If you're nominating different products, then you will have to submit them as separate nominations. And that's because they'll have a different product description and different things that you'll want to highlight. So that's the reason why we do that. You will have to pay for each product line twice or separately. So if you're nominating product A in 2 categories, then you'll check out for those 2 categories, and then you can go back into the nomination form and nominate product B for 3 categories and check out product B. So you'll have two different products nominated in 5 categories, whatever you select. I hope that was clear. Let me know if it was not. So another question came through. Do the supporting materials need to be any specific kind of file? MP4s, anything like that? What we'll do, they don't need to be in any specific format. What we'll do is we'll have you actually, if you're submitting a video, you'll want to submit it as a link. So you can post it to whatever platform you choose. If you want to put it on your website and just put that link to our website, that's great. That way we don't need to be worried about the specific formats. So that will be good. And then another good question is, I saw on the website that sharing recorded demos is a good option. But then there was the follow-up question is if there's any concern that submitting will be redundant to the judges. And the short answer is no, because the judges see the information that's put in the application more as a supplement to the demo. So to the recorded demo. So again, the live demo. So the live demo will be really what they're focused mostly on. And if you provide them product access, that is a great, nice to have. But if you put a recorded demo into the nomination, that's just a great additional piece in the event that they need to go and revisit any information. So yeah, it won't hurt. Let's put it that way. How best to prepare for the demo? We covered most of this already, but again, outline make sure you touch on each of the judging criteria. That is the biggest thing, because that's what you're being scored on. You will receive written feedback, but the numerical score is what gets you from round 1 to round 2. So do keep that in mind. Again, have someone who really knows the product well, that will really help tell your story. So another good one is regarding the business technology pivot, the COVID-19 category. What you'll want to do for these categories is really you want to tell your story. So what problem you faced, obviously 2020 has rocked a lot of industries. So you'll want to tell your story, where you started, tell what happened, what you had to do, and any success points that you can share on that pivot. So if you have further questions on that, just let me know. But again, it's really just telling the story of, what problem you overcame, how you did it, and where you're at now. And if you have a forecast on where you're going to next, please share all of those points. So another good question is, do we touch on each of the judging criteria in the nomination itself, or later in the judging process? So you will want to touch on each of the judging criteria in your demo. And again, for that outline, when you submit your initial outline, make sure you highlight where you meet each of the judging criteria there too, just again, so the judges can see that. It will help shape the story. And then what if you're nominating? Okay, great question. So this question is, what if you're nominating in a COVID category as well as a non-COVID category? So we do have, although the COVID categories and the non-COVID categories are different, one is for products and one is for companies. So it makes it a little bit funky in actually completing the nomination form. So if you're doing both, I recommend completing the nomination as you would for your products. And then what I'll be doing for all of the COVID categories is reaching out to you specifically for your write-up or your video, or both. If you want to do both, it's kind of nice because people learn in different ways. Is ask you as soon as the nomination process closes for your write-up on your COVID story. So do complete the application as you would for your product so you can get that bulk pricing too. So I hope that helps. Please shoot me a follow-up if you need any more information there. So our judges for each category announced in advance of the first round. So we don't share all of the judges. We just share your specific judges for your category. So you won't be able to pick and choose your judges. That's something I will do. With that being said, if a judge feels inappropriate, again, please reach out to me and let me know if you have any concerns. We try and be as careful as possible, but if there's anything you're uncomfortable with your judge, just let me know. I'm happy to help address any concerns there. So we covered the difference between the COVID and the non-COVID categories. So if anyone else has any questions there, please let me know. How long would the short video for the first round review typically be? So for the outline video, I would say just 2 to 5 minutes tops. Like, no need to get fancy there. Again, just a quick overview, what your product does, what your product is, what it solves, why you're better than the competition, and how you meet each of the judging criteria. So that should be able to be accomplished pretty quickly because you aren't actually diving into the demo. And then what if you don't have a specific product launch date for a product that has existed for multiple years? No big deal. Just pick a date. It can be a estimate. The only reason why we have that launch date question on the nomination is really to address the emerging categories, and those have to be 3 years old or younger to be considered in that category. But if your product has been around for many years and you just keep doing versions, you can estimate on the latest version if you want. It doesn't matter. It only matters for those emerging categories. And I'm keeping an eye on time. We only have a few more minutes, so I'll get through as many of these as I can. And if I can't get through them all, then I'll make sure to shoot an email to everyone. Okay, so what if you don't have a specific, we just did that one. Do you pay per category or per nomination? So, great question. You pay per category. So in your nomination form, each product, you'll enter your product information, and then you can select as many categories as you'd like that category or that product to be entered into. Some companies have multiple product lines that they enter their categories into. And in a few circumstances, some companies have different product lines from the same company that they enter in the same category. So they're actually competing against themselves in a few of the categories. So there's lots of ways you can slice and dice that. But you get that price break on the if you nominate the same category, or if you nominate the same product in multiple categories. So good question there. And then let's see, is it possible to do one demo both judges? Great question. So it is totally possible. The tricky part is actually scheduling your both judges to be on the same call at the same time. That's a lot of different factors. It's not that it's impossible to do, it just, in my experience, a lot of times one judge will have to, like, doesn't make it or gets the time zone messed up or something like that. So if you do opt for that approach, which is a fine approach, just first confirm with the judges that they're okay with having both judges on the same call. Most are totally fine with it. Some prefer to have their own time. Different styles, right? And then the other thing I'll note that is, if one judge is late or they don't show up, just make sure to record that demo. You can then share the recorded demo to the judge that was late, or, so they don't miss out on any of the information that they need. You can always try and reschedule with the judge that didn't make it on time, but don't just not do the demo because one of the judges didn't participate. I hope that helps. So what if a product meets most but not all of the criteria in a particular category? Is that a non-starter? And the short answer is that's totally fine. If the judges know that if something is not applicable, we do our best to have the criteria be relevant to every to most products that participate in a category, but technology changes every single day. So sometimes, a certain criteria just isn't super applicable, and that's fine. The judges just skip over that particular category or that particular criteria. And instead of taking an average of, say 10 criteria, you'll get an average of 9 criteria. So it won't make or break your score by any means. Great question. Is the initial outline, written or video, submitted before our live demo? It's nice if you're able to do that before. You'll have a 2-week period between when nominations closes and when the judges actually get your application. So you'll have a few weeks to really think through and map out your demo, which is a great opportunity to do, to actually write down or complete your video to share with the judges. It's just a nice, way of presenting the material. And so let's see, with the early bird deadline approaching this week, does your submission have to be finalized by the deadline or at a later date? Great question. So if you want to take advantage of that early pricing, which I highly recommend you do to save yourself some money, then just a basic overview information. You'll need your product, you'll need your URL, and just the very basic info. Select your categories because that's what determines your price, and then submit payment, and you'll be locked into that early bird rate. You can go back at any point up until the judging starts on February 15th to edit your nomination before the judges have access to it. So they can't even see if there's, TBD in there until February 15th. And I'll send plenty of reminders. So so you get a reminder to do that. Receive reminders from me, then please check your settings, because I want to make sure that I'm safe listed, so you actually get the updates. And again, feel free to give me a call, email me, whatever you need. Um, so I'm very much here all the time. Um, so another last question before we have to wrap up, because I'm trying to be really mindful of your time. But again, I'll email any additional answers to people that have them. Do the judges collaborate after the demos, or do they award 40% each? Oh, great question. So the judges typically do not collaborate with each other, and they don't compare your product against other products. They only compare your product with the judging criteria. So we take an average of the scores that are received from the judges that will determine your score, and then your numerical score is ranked with everyone else in the category. So and then we'll take 80% of that for that first round. So we have all of that information listed on our website under the How It Works tab. So that is all the time we have. Thank you so much for all these questions. Like I said, reach out to me by phone or email if you have any additional questions. And I look forward to reaching out and working with each and every one of you. Happy holidays, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.